Over the past several weeks, there has been a Joe Biden controversy surrounding an allegation made against him by a woman named Tara Reade. The media wouldn't touch it, and when the New York Times finally did, not only did they defend Joe Biden, insinuate this woman would be arrested for filing a false police report, they even went on to drag Donald Trump, who had nothing to do with the story about Joe Biden. One of the women from the story then went on PBS and said, well, there's no real pattern of abuse from Joe Biden, even though there's a website dedicated to the abuse from Joe Biden. It's called joebiden.info, and Facebook actually banned it. I tried sending it, so you can't do it. Yeah, you can't. They don't want anybody to know that there is a pattern of abuse from Joe Biden. See, he's a creepy old man. But my friends, a conspiracy is afoot. Yes, indeed. You see, the episode of Larry King Live from August 11, 1993 has been removed from the Google Play Store. Now, it's possible it was never there to begin with. I'm not entirely sure. But the story is being picked up. You see, The Intercept, Ryan Grim says, new evidence supporting credibility of Tara Reade's allegation against Joe Biden emerges. And shortly after the publication of this piece, somebody located the actual video from Larry King Live. Boom, we got it. In it, you can hear a woman saying that my daughter or whatever left a prominent senator's office, but did not want to go to the press about it. Now, according to one of the original reporters who interviewed Tara Reade about Joe Biden, she says, Tara Reade told me this is her mother's voice. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Joe Biden, we got him. Just kidding. It is evidence against Joe Biden. It doesn't prove anything. It could be that, this woman made up the claim against Biden recently because she was a Bernie supporter. I'm not going to make any insinuations or accusations against her. All I know is, here's what she said. Joe Biden, assaulted her. And she said afterwards she tried complaining. She ended up basically losing her job because of it. She was like demoted and then eventually ended up leaving because she was being mistreated. Then we get this woman who calls into CNN's Larry King Live saying, my daughter works for a very prominent senator. Now, here's the thing. Ryan Grim has corroborated that the phone call from the show, he says San Luis Obispo, and they've corroborated, boom, Tara Reade's mother lived in San Luis Obispo. Tara Reade says it's her mother. We got him. Corroborating evidence. I'm being somewhat facetious, but let me show you this. This is where things get crazy. Take a look over at the Google Play Store. You will see in front of you a bunch of episodes of Larry King Live. August 9th, 1993, August 10th, August 12th. Now, why would there be no August 11th episode? I honestly don't know. In fact, it says right now the show is unavailable. I don't know what that means. Some people posted saying that it was removed. And many people are asking, do you have proof the episode was there to begin with? Now, it's possible that once the allegations came out, CNN went in and took this episode down. But I'll tell you what, as of right now, we know for a fact that the New York Times tried defending Joe Biden. CNN, the episode, which is now public, is gone. And let me show you something. I pulled up a calendar from August 1993. And what can we see? August 11th was a Wednesday. That makes no sense. Why would that episode be gone? Now, to be fair, I went back throughout that year, that's 1993, to see if any other episodes had been removed. And lo and behold, yes, there have been some other episodes removed. And typically the ones I saw removed, actually the only ones I did see removed, were from Mondays. So it seems like Larry King would take extended weekends. I didn't see, and look, you might want to go through all the other years and I maybe missed something, but the only week where it seems like something is just removed from the middle of the week is the August 11th episode. Now, here's the thing. I don't know why the Monday episodes would be missing. Like I said, I'm assuming it's a long weekend, but the August 11th episode exists. We have video footage of it. So why would it be missing from Larry King Live on Google Play? I don't know. And why would the show currently be unavailable? I have no idea. That's why I'm saying a conspiracy is afoot. Now, take a look at this. This, I believe, is from the woman. This is from Holly Otterbein. She's the one who, I believe, broke the story about Tara Reade. The story says, new evidence surfaces in Tara Reade allegation against Biden. A 1993 video appears to show her mother calling the Larry King Show to discuss a claim against a prominent senator. This is what's surprising to me. Many media outlets are working overtime to protect Joe Biden. It's very creepy. In fact, check this out. From PBS NewsHour on April 17th. PBS NewsHour finally locates Tara Reade's story. They say on Friday night, more than 3 weeks after Tara Reade shared her allegation that Joe Biden sexually assaulted her on Capitol Hill 93, the PBS NewsHour arrived on story by interviewing one of the authors on a belated New York Times piece on Reade. Lisa Lehrer couldn't spin away fast enough from any comparison with the unsubstantiated charges against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. Let's break this down. In this, she says there is no real pattern of abuse of from Joe Biden in terms of sexual assault, and that's something you typically look for. Oh, that sounds so reasonable, media. You see, we don't take these claims seriously because, look, it's one lady. There's no evidence. Even though we have, apparently now, her mother calling into CNN. Take a look at Brett Kavanaugh. Come on, we know how the game is played. Brett Kavanaugh was already vetted. He was a federal judge. Okay, they had to do a background check on him already. They found nothing. No patterns of abuse. He was a Boy Scout. But all of a sudden, some woman claims 30 years ago he threw me on a bed and then they rolled around and then she ran away. And no one could corroborate this. But all of a sudden, the story was picked up that day. Boom, there it is. We got the letter. We got the, oh no, he did this to me. The Democrats were like, we must take all accusations seriously, standing up on fake principles. Then all of a sudden, we got a wave of fake allegations against Brett Kavanaugh. And I'm not making that up. I'm not being hyperbolic. They were retracted. A man called and said, oh, you assaulted somebody on a boat, and then later apologized for it. We had that one woman who went on MSNBC and then started changing her story and said, well, actually, I don't know about that. Several of the claims against Kavanaugh were immediately retracted. But outside of that, if you want to argue that there was no pattern of behavior against Joe Biden, you are lying. We have videos of Joe Biden doing these things. So, okay. I really should read you this story to give you all the full details in greater context. So let's read from The Intercept. Now, I'm gonna point this out too. The Intercept, I love you guys, man. I think you do a good job sometimes. And the reason I say sometimes is because you have this guy who's got Trump derangement syndrome who discredits everything you do. All right, when I see somebody, he writes a story saying the other day he wrote a story, Donald Trump suggests tanning and injecting bleach to fight coronavirus. No, he didn't. No, he absolutely did not. You can call the dude daft. You can say he asked a dumb question, but he asked a question, and it really seemed like Trump, if I was going to be honest, and like, what was he doing the other day when he asked this? Sounded like he wasn't really paying attention. That's about it. And he was like, yeah, and trying to, you're just spitballing. They try and claim, okay, so I'll put it this way. If you want to criticize a president, man, again, I don't care. But don't make up things. He never said go tanning and inject bleach, you lunatics. So now we get this story from Ryan Grimm, and I'm like, sorry, buddy. You guys hate Donald Trump. You love Bernie Sanders. Why should I believe you? This is your own fault. Do you honestly believe the allegations against Joe Biden? I got to be honest, at first, I didn't. I absolutely didn't. I don't care for 30-year-old allegations. Now, with this CNN corroboration, I'm actually leaning towards, you know what? Sounds about right. I mean, Joe Biden touches women in creepy ways and kids. And so when I heard this, I was like, yeah, I mean, I really do think it's possible. I mean, this guy's got a pattern of behavior. But it is politically expedient. Now we have this clip. Now we have this clip removed. Let me read the story. Ryan Grimm writes, and I also clarify, Ryan Grimm does a good job. He's very different from the guy with TDS. A new piece of evidence has emerged buttressing the credibility of Tara Reade's claim that she told her mother about allegations of sexual harassment and assault related to her former boss, then Senator Joe Biden. Biden, through a spokesperson, has denied the allegations. Reade has claimed to various media outlets, including The Intercept, that she told her mother, a close friend, and her brother about both the harassment and, to varying degrees of detail, the assault at the time. Her brother, Colin Moulton, and her friend, who asked to remain anonymous, both confirmed that they heard about the allegations from Reade at the time. Reade's mother died in 2016, but both her brother and friend also confirmed Reade had told her mother, and that her mother, a longtime feminist and activist, urged her to go to the police. In interviews with The Intercept, Reade also mentioned that her mother had made a phone call to Larry King Live on CNN, during which she made reference to her daughter's experience on Capitol Hill. Reade told The Intercept that her mother called in asking for advice after Reade, then in her 20s, left Biden's office. I remember it being an anonymous call, and her saying my daughter was sexually harassed and retaliated against and fired. Where can she go for help? I was mortified, Reade told me. Reade couldn't remember the date or year of the phone call, and King didn't include the names of callers on his show. I was unable to find the call, but mentioned it in an interview with Katie Halper, the podcast host who first aired Reed's allegation. After the podcast aired, a listener managed to find the call and sent it to The Intercept. Boom! On August 11th, 1993, King aired a program titled Washington, the Cruelest City on Earth. Toward the end of the program, he introduces a caller dialing in from San Luis Obispo, California. Congressional records list August 1993 as Reed's last month of employment with Biden's Senate office, and according to property records, Reed's mother, Janet Altimus, was living in San Luis Obispo County. Here's the transcript of the beginning of the call. That is some heavy corroboration. Tara Reid says, that is my mom. August was the last month of her employment, and her mom lived in San Luis Obispo. Sounds to me like Tara Reid is telling the truth. Now, I will entertain the other side, because think about it this way. Let's say that what really happened is Joe Biden, you know, look, she mentioned her mom was a feminist. I'm gonna play devil's advocate, so don't just chill out and stop getting mad at me for a minute, feminists. Let's say that this woman was demanding Joe Biden give her a salary increase and was screaming at him, and he was like, get out of my office. I'm not giving you a salary increase. And then she was like, this is not fair. I deserve more. Went to her mom and complained and said, it's not fair. They're holding me back. They're bigots, blah, 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 whatever. And so the mom called in to CNN and made no mention of sexual assault. That's possible too. I don't know exactly what Joe Biden did. But the reason I bring that up is just to play devil's advocate, because I think it's fair to entertain all possibilities. In reality, what are we looking at? Joe Biden has a real pattern of this behavior. There are videos, there's a website. You can see him doing this. He had to apologize for it. Brett Kavanaugh, nothing. The dude was a Boy Scout. You can disagree on his policy, and I disagree with some of his rulings on the Fourth Amendment stuff having to do with digital technology. I'm not going to dredge up all that, you know, Brett Kavanaugh stuff. Just to point out the double standard. This dude was a Boy Scout, and they tried to destroy his life. Joe Biden is now he's trying to be the president of the United States. And they're saying, You know what they said during Kavanaugh? They said, what if, you know, they said, it's a job interview, okay? We're not going to put him in prison for it, but shouldn't we know about someone's behavior if they want a job? Right. That's the game they play. Meanwhile, Joe Biden wants the most powerful job in the world. And he's got a history of doing this. And now we've got corroboration. Check this out. King says, San Luis Obispo, California, hello. The caller says, yes, hello. I'm wondering what a staffer would do besides go to the press in Washington. My daughter has just left there after working for a prominent senator and could not get through with her problems at all. And the only thing she could have done was go to the press. And she chose not to do it out of respect for him. King says, in other words, she had a story to tell, but out of respect for the person she worked for, she didn't tell it. Caller says that's true. Now, here's why I'm inclined to believe Tara Reid in terms of the assault allegation, and not something like, I wanted a job or I wanted more money. Well, if someone wasn't going to give you money, what are you going to complain about? How would you go to the press? You go to the press and say, I demanded a promotion. He wouldn't give it to me. Sounds like what this caller is saying very well may be Tara Reid's mom. I mean, we've got a decent amount of corroborating evidence. It sounds like this was a serious violation of some kind of workplace rules or ethics, and that's why you would go to the press. This senator did this thing to me. So that's why, you know, I'm going to, let's read a little bit more. Ryan says, King's panel of guests offered no suggestions, and instead the conversation veered into a discussion of whether any of the men on set would leak damaging personal information about a rival to the press. Rich McHugh covers this story, and then links to Ryan Grimm. Reid, after being read the transcript of the call, said that it gelled with her memory of it, and after the video was surfaced, confirmed it is her mother's voice in the call. She said, I have not heard my mom's voice in a while, she said. There are several notable things at the emergence of the call. On one hand, the caller does not specifically mention sexual harassment or retaliation, as Reid had recalled. On the other hand, the reference to being unable to get through with her problems aligns with Reid's claim that she complained to superiors in Biden's office and got nowhere. And the reference to going to the press makes clear that the caller is talking about more than just generic problems at the office. The problems she makes clear would damage the senator if exposed. And that's exactly what I was saying. So I'll address Reid's false, you know, her incorrect memory. Do we want to give her the benefit of the doubt? She claimed that her mother called in and said she was sexually harassed, etc. That didn't happen. I don't know. I don't know how you get past this one. It's been almost 30 years, so it's possible that she just doesn't remember exactly what was said, and she got the gist of it right. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to go with Tara Reid on this one. And I'll admit, like, I wasn't big on believing her. But when all this started, I was like, oh yeah, here we go. Bernie Sanders supporter accuses Joe Biden, right? Well, color me wrong. She's got corroborating evidence, and it sounds legit. They say, Ryan goes on to say, Reid's inability to remember the exact date of the alleged assault, or its precise location, or the precise location of the office where she picked up the form needed to file a complaint, has been used by skeptics to suggest the allegation is fabricated. What the emergence of the call shows is that even if Reid's memory is off on timing or details, the substance of her claims, in this case, that her mother called Larry King and discussed her situation, can still be true. It is true. It is true. The call also calls into question the credibility of Biden's denial. Reid said that she filed a complaint about Biden's harassment with Marianne Baker, effectively the office manager in the Biden office. The Biden campaign released a statement from Baker, which said that neither Reid nor any other employee had ever complained about improper behavior. Quote, in all my years working for Senator Biden, I never once witnessed or heard of or received any reports of inappropriate conduct, period. Not from Mrs. Reid, not from anyone, Baker said in the campaign statement. These clearly false allegations are in complete contradiction to both the inner workings of our Senate office and to the man I know and worked so closely with for almost 2 decades. Then how is it, if there was no complaint filed, that her mom was able to call CNN? She had the foresight to predict the future. Spare me. For Baker's statement to be true, Reid would have had to have lied to her friend, brother, and mother about having complained to Biden's office. There is no obvious reason Reid would make up a story to those closest to her about the Senate office not taking Biden's harassment seriously, while at the same time resisting pressure to go to the press. Not only that, but in the New York Times story, they even corroborated, as much as they were trying to defend Biden, that interns in the office said abruptly Tara Reid was no longer supervising them. I think we got him, boys. I think Joe Biden is guilty. Now, hold on. I am not a big fan of the court of public opinion. I do not think we're going to, Joe Biden is going to have his life destroyed over all of this. But here's the point I'll make. While typically I am no fan of 27-year-old allegations, same thing they did to Kavanaugh, I'd back away and say, come on, man, we can't play these games, right? It's like you're digging as far back as possible to try and get some dirt on a guy. Nah, it's ridiculous. Well, fortunately for these people, these are the rules they decided upon. You want this to be. You advocated for these rules. You want us to dig into your past. You told us to do it. You did it to a bunch of celebrities. They found some race car driver's dad who's had the N-word on a radio show, so they pulled a sponsor from the kid. Absolutely absurd. You dug up Brett Kavanaugh, and I said, it's a bad idea, don't do it, it's not fair. I say the same thing about Joe Biden right now, but unfortunately for you, we are applying your standard to you. It's what you asked for. It's what you will get. So I don't think it's necessarily fair to dig up really, really old allegations. But I'll tell you what. You can't pull this on Brett Kavanaugh and then expect people not to pull it on you. You know what? And I'll say this too. I really do think this should be quashed. Because I don't want to give in to these people. They said, we're going to dig up these allegations on Brett Kavanaugh. I say no dice. Then these things come up with Joe Biden. Nah, I'm the last person that's going to come and be like, aha, now we're going to use these rules against you. No way, dude. Shut it down. Shut it down. Because this is what they want. Joe Biden is the sacrificial lamb. They will throw him out to the wolves. And then sure enough, a year later, they will dig into the past of everyone and say, hey, we played ball on Joe Biden. These are the new rules and you agreed to it. No, I don't like it. 30-year-old allegations. Get rid of it. I'll tell you what, though. The big story here for me, CNN, the New York Times, and the media consistently covering for Joe Biden. Now, I must clarify, as I feel many commentators don't clarify. I try to do this often because I know we always say the media. Look, man, The Intercept has called out the establishment Democrats, Russiagate, all this nonsense, as much as they hate Donald Trump. I can respect that. I wish they didn't have TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, but they do. CNN, this episode's gone missing. The show is unavailable. That's weird. I don't know what's going on. I can't make any accusations. But also the New York Times reporters trying to defend Biden. The media double standard is the problem I have that needs to be called out. Enough games. Be honest. So let's, Rita said the complaint she filed was related to the harassment she said she faced and did not address the assault. The complaint was left with Biden's office, and if it still exists, is with Biden's papers at the University of Delaware. The school recently told reporter Rich McHugh that the papers are sealed until 2 years after Biden leaves public life. How convenient. The harassment Reid first went public with last year involves stroking her neck and running his fingers through the curls of her hair, as well as asking her to effectively serve as a cocktail waitress at an event. Now, I think it's fair to point out, maybe that was the extent to which she complained. Maybe they didn't take it seriously because it was 1993 and she was like, he's trying to tell me to be a cocktail waitress and he keeps touching my hair. And they were like, oh, get out of here. And maybe not Tara Reid is exaggerating. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I can't tell you whether or not Reid's lying. I can only show you the corroborating evidence, which does exist. All right. So they say Reid's assault allegation became public last month, involves an interaction of 1993. We know this. I'm not going to read through it. She went to his office. He pinned her up against the wall. He said some nasty things to her. They mentioned at the end, April 24th, 6:55 p.m., the piece has been updated to add video that surfaced of the caller on the Larry King show and Reid's confirmation. So I guess there it is. So look, I'm not going to play these 30-year-old allegation games. I don't care. We don't need this to stop Joe Biden. I'm saying if you want to stop Joe Biden, you don't need this. The dude can't speak. But maybe this will help because a lot of people are concerned that Joe Biden is getting a free pass. Now that we're under lockdown, no one knows what's going on. No one's paying attention to Biden. Now there's some negative press. The big story, the big takeaway, the big question. Did CNN actually pull this episode to protect Joe Biden? And will CNN report on their own show corroborating the claims against him? I'm going to go ahead and bet no. They're not going to cover this, and they did remove it. But that's just my opinion. I don't know for sure. I can say that I believe it's a fact that the media has been covering for Joe Biden. Absolutely. And they're going to keep doing it. I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel, and I will see you all then.